Glad to have you back. Nigeria's business environment in 2025 saw improving macroeconomic stability with easing inflation and, of course, a stabilizing naira, leading to strong business confidence heading into 2026. But what are the outlook for 2026? Let's put this in proper perspective. Dr. Ahmad Rabiu, National Vice President of NACCIMMA and the MD of Dala Inland Dry Port, join me virtually from Kano. Good morning, Doctor.
For having me.
Glad to have you join us. Let's get your take as a businessman. How will you rate Nigerian business environment in 2025?
2025 was a year that most reforms were implemented, or at least implementation started beyond, except the earlier issue of prices of oil. So it was a time that people had to face quite a number of things in order to keep floating. So it was a very tough year for all of us. And we appreciate reforms. We like them. We want to key into them so that we'll be better placed to exploit benefits of in the global market. However, it is always important to appreciate that the reforms, when being crafted, will take account of the side effects and also continue to consider all other things. That is why every time we speak, what I mention is the issue of interagency collaboration, so that all arms of government responsible for overall socioeconomic well-being come together, and everybody will, as it is done in the Executive Council or the Federal Executive Council, everything will be considered, and then decisions that are taken will be safe and good enough for the economy, and the side effects will be minimized. So it was a very tough year, and especially at the tail end, when we received the information that come first January 2026, the new tax law will come into effect, and quite a number of other things we fear may also affect the operating environment in terms of costs escalation. That is inflation. I can see that I'm.
Go ahead.
Are
we
together?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alaji.
Hello?
Go ahead. I can hear you.
God of mercy.
You are
the
live.
New normal has
its
normal way of coming this way due to our. We are back?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You have been on.
Okay. So that's about what it has been. 2025 was indeed a great year. But as I have mentioned always, the business operating environment was tough on account of a number of issues. We, however, saw the reduction, two things that were very important to us. Number one, stabilization in exchange rate, which to the glory of God continued to go down, and also the fuel prices, which continued to go down, especially in the very last quarter of the year. So there were a number of excellent things. The reforms generally were that came in to be implemented were largely the issues that did affect the business environment positively, and we are hopeful that 2026 shall be a better year for all of us.
All right. Let's look at some of the issues that you have raised now. The macroeconomic stability in 2025. I mean, progress were made in taming inflation, according to the federal government, stabilizing the exchange rate as well, the monetary policy adjustment, and of course, this in a way creates a better operating environment. What is your take on that?
Well, some of the things that we have adopted, you're talking of the macroeconomic environment. You will see when the issue was, the report was given by the Central Bank of Nigeria, that 93% of our cash is outside the banking sector. It's a very, very bad situation. We are talking of cashless society. And quite a number of issues, if I may mention at this point, is that all regulatory agencies must be seen to be actually doing their job, performing their functions efficiently and effectively. If banks will have their ATM machines all over the place, and not only that the amount is too limited to, some very small inconsequential figure, which is not realistic, but you go to the machines, most often there is no cash. We are told how they are regulated and coordinated by all the banks, and the central bank is supposed to have its eyes all over the place. But you can try it yourself someday. Go with your card and try to collect.
Hello, Elijah, are you there? I seems to be having a network connection there with Dr. Rabiu from Kano, we hope. All right.
And as a result of this, what happened? Am I back?
Yeah, you are back.
There is nowhere in the world where you go and you find that turn around. And besides the POS machine being the vehicles that have been used and which have led the central bank to a situation where it actually cannot manage the money sector properly, there is also the exorbitant costs of POS machines. They arbitrarily charge anything. You could collect 10,000 naira from some place and they may charge you 100 naira. You could go to some place, they could charge you 500 naira. And depending on how desperate you appear and also how far they are from banking services, they could levy you any charges. These things are fueling inflation, because what are they doing? What are they actually doing? They are denying the money owner the capacity to actually use the funds efficiently. So I think importantly is the things that have been highlighted are largely true. We have had all those, I have mentioned it myself, the stability in the exchange rate and perhaps appreciating it continue to go down. But if these other openings are allowed and other regulations and regulatory bodies not doing well, then of course you find that a lot of the data being given are sometimes not very true.
Indeed, sometimes not very true. Let's talk about the increased confidence. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria Business Expectation Survey, there was more like a robust optimism, with many firms expecting stronger activities and, of course, a stronger Naira in 2026. But what you saw of Naira in 2025, does it give you any hope that Naira will appreciate better this year?
Yeah, it has actually. And what I am also national president of Network of Practicing Non-Oil Exporters. And if you remember, largely what we have been complaining is exports are being over-regulated. And they are supposed to be encouraged, and encouraging them should not be by way of making it impossible for the cargo to move with ease from our location in the hinterland to the seaport where they'll be loaded into ship. All this should be facilitated. For instance, as an inland port that was conceptualized over 26 years ago to be a port of origin and destination, certain things that should be allowed to us have been denied the Dala Inland Dry Port. Why? Because there are policies like the Customs Act does not recognize any port outside ports around the coastal area, that's the marine ports, seaports. So all the things that we are looking for, that we believe is that in 2026, with the current policy, particularly the streamlining of tax, I'm talking of the good things about the tax law. It has streamlined it, it has automated it, and we are hopeful that there will be improved efficiency in that sector. Importantly, from what I have read of the fiscal highlights, though the budget has not even passed, I believe there will be support for exportation processes, and that will increase our inflow. And the second, the government's also commitment to continue to reduce importation of certain things from vehicles to the rest of them will help greatly reduce our use of foreign currency. And a stronger Naira is going to flourish on account of improved internal production.
Indeed. Doctor, are you there? We seems to be having some interference there with Dr. Rabiu.
And the manufacturing sector, by the current budget, big boost. That boost this year will definitely help in strengthening our currency. So reduction in what we import, controlling them more, improving our exportation, more strengthening of regulatory powers of the regulatory agencies so that they can actually bring to book whoever violates any rule that is going to make our economy suffer unduly. And then also have a look at this issue of the POS, which I have mentioned several times. The POS are all over the place, so much cash out of circulation. I mean, not in the central bank, not in the banks, and therefore the CBN cannot see it and regulate it properly. And all other issues, like we're talking of the banditry, if there is access to cash with ease, and people are able to take this cash all over the place, then of course, yes.
Okay. All right. Doctor, let's look at the sectoral performance now. We see strong growth in, if you look at the GDP, strong growth in service, tech, talking about tech trade, digital service, modular refining with potential in agriculture. What will you say with regards to the performance across key sectors in 2025?
The major issue about there are general improvements. I'm happy you have seen the report from Kano. Our youth are really coming up on, and doing fantastic things. So service sector is actually growing. We are adding value, unlike before that we were shipping out raw materials and also just partially processed. Now our youth are doing a lot of work, and we are mentoring some of them. We are working with them, and those who see others, go venture into certain new areas, they also get into it. So our startups in Kano are growing, and we are seeing this happening virtually all over the country. So the major challenges, I keep coming back to them because we have highlighted most of the statistics. Today, we have the Dala market. I'm sure you have heard of it. That has been the largest grains market in Africa. I will not say West Africa, but in Africa. But because of the policies that have been enacted that are allowed to move, most of these buyers, there was a policy, if you remember, by President Muhammad Buhari of blessed memory, that foreigners are not allowed to go to the farm gates and buy the farm produce. Now, that policy was through an executive order. Regrettably, up to the time he left, and I think up to this point, there has not been a proper vehicle established of foreigners have opened their companies. We welcome them to do operations in our country. We are treating them as business partners. But if they go and catch it, to take it away, and Dawano today has lost about 1/3 of what it used to receive in terms of inflow of goods, because the goods are now taken from the farm gate into some factories in other locations than the farm. So the major issue is there is great hope that 2026 shall be a better year for all of us, and especially as it is also a penultimate year for election 2027. It is a year that the government must be concerned about people becoming generally comfortable and able to put food on the table at least twice, if not 3 times, most families, and therefore a fundamental issue, address the policies that have been enacted and ensure that they are adequately implemented.
Indeed, adequate implementation is key. I listened to that report from Kano, and I was quite impressed with what the young men in Kano are doing. What do you think may be the stumbling block? Because I hear one of the respondents did talk about his goods. Coming from his container coming from abroad, and he's talking about the cost of clearance and even cost of transporting those goods from Lagos all the way down to Kano. What do you think can be done in this regard? We're a country of 36 states. We only have one functioning port.
We have more than one functioning port. One port is adequate for us.
Port in one state.
The port in Benin is serving so many Sahel countries, and it's just a miniature port. Our ports are adequate. All that is important is to ensure that they are properly policed, and the cargo movement is made seamless from the seaport to the hinterland, and also for export to move seamlessly from the hinterland to the seaport for their onward journey to whatever location abroad. What he has mentioned is true. We have been engaging with the Nigerian Customs Services and the Nigerian Ports Authority and the shipping lines. The CGC of the Nigerian Customs, Alhaji Bashir Adewale, it was just even last week in Kano, And Kano had the benefit also of enjoying the services of a controller of customs that was very diligent and that helped to get the importers and exporters to comply with custom regulations. Largely, what caused this delay have been issues of failure to comply with customs policies and regulations. A person imports a cargo from a foreign country, and when it arrives from the foreign country into our seaport, it comes in and requires certain facilitations to happen. But those facilitations are being handled by humans. And because over time, corruption had become a household culture, you find a simple thing that should be done within few hours or minutes takes 2 to 3 weeks to happen. For instance, there is what is called a transire. Transire is a document that is processed to get a cargo transferred from the seaport to the hinterland, from the seaport. Now, that is supposed to happen within a day, but that document does not happen in less than 2 weeks, oftentimes much more, because as you go on into the process, there is a challenge from the shipping line. It had not put certain clause on the bill of lading, or this or that has not happened, and you find you going through and fro, and then before you know it, a cargo that arrived on 1st of May, for instance, will be in the port up till the middle of June before that transfer is concluded. And then you now pay shipping lines. And shipping lines charges are on escalation basis. It gets to a point where every day you pay them 60,000 naira. We have been speaking. I founded the Federation of Nigerian Shippers Association, FONSA, sometimes in 1987. To the glory of God, I was his national chairman from 2000 and 2002. And during that time, we were fighting these issues of getting the rates through Nigerian Shippers Council for the shipping lines to levy charges on us that are economic, that are fair and just. Unfortunately for us, we have lost. Things have not been going the way they ought to have been going, and so our call is to the Nigerian Shippers Council to make sure that they go into the affairs and handling of cargo by shipping lines in Nigeria and take appropriate steps to make sure that they do not continue to unduly delay processes. And what we have been talking about also of the gridlock around the port, as he has mentioned to you, a cargo will leave Kano, and within 3 days it has gone to the neighborhood of the port, but maybe 2-3 kilometers to the gate, and it will spend 1 or 2 weeks before it gets in. And when it gets in, the processes are also unduly unnecessarily being delayed. Everybody wants to make money. These are issues that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a businessman, but I believe when you have to say it, say it. We have to really enforce our regulations. I believe all the ports are properly under CCTV camera. All the regulators, all those that who should say, why has this not moved? Why is this delayed? Should actually play their role. So we have these issues to really contend with. The young man that mentioned that issue of the delay, if you have a port that ought to be a port of origin and destination, you have your cargo in Dala dry port in Kano, you do not have to do anything. The cargo will, upon its arrival in any seaport in Nigeria, should be transferred seamlessly into Dala dry port, which is like the transit from Antwerp to Delhi, from Delhi, for instance, to Antwerp, and then to Apapa. You don't have anything to do at Antwerp. Before the cargo arrives, the vehicle to take it to the next port is already ready. So if a cargo is coming from Delhi into Apapa and on its way to Dala and Kano, the moment it arrives there, nothing should happen. The cargo should just continue on its journey to Dala. And if this can happen, it is happening everywhere in the world. And like the gentleman, the young man mentioned, he is sitting down there. His factory has operated to maybe 15th of the month, and then it has to continue waiting for his cargo to arrive. For 1 month, there will be no operation. And because of that, he will fail in meeting his orders abroad. So many challenges. So I believe the issue, as it is, of processes and fight against corruption must be at the topmost gear.
Indeed, must be fought at the topmost, with the topmost. Maybe with all the seriousness that it deserves. But let's look at some of the issues that you have raised. These are issues that have been, reoccurring, and it doesn't seem the government is paying attention to that. I mean, a cargo sometimes at the cost of even clearing goods is also very high, and the cost of transportation, like we talk about, is also very high as well. But it takes a cargo, let's say, 3 weeks to 1 month to get to Nigeria. But for you to get your goods from a state in Nigeria to the other state also take nearly a month, or sometimes in some cases 2-3 months. Why do we have this bureaucracy? What are the challenges? I mean, are we not deploying technology that can monitor all of these things properly?
On the first instance, the customs is the first step in the process, processing the transfer document, which is the transfer. Now, the current CGC, Comptroller General of Customs, Alhaji Bashir Adewale, has improved that significantly. We are still reporting to him as we encounter certain challenges in the course, but it has not yet attained the required state that we will be happy and smile. So he was in Kano just last week, and we echoed our call, and he has assured us of continuing to monitor and to ensure that that document, from the time you submit it to Kano, and Kano forwards it to Apapa or Tinkan or One or wherever, it will be electronically treated, and then the cargo transfer should be seamless. We are hopeful that customs will achieve that. The second is the shipping line. The shipping lines are the worst because they make so much money. In fact, shipping lines make more money for cargo rent at the port and demurrage charges than for the sea voyage. And one of our great businessmen, Rabiu, had mentioned it here sometimes, and it did trend greatly, that it costs more money to transfer cargo from Lagos or Apapa or Tinkan or from One to Kano than the transfer of than the journey of the cargo or the cost of transporting the cargo from Delhi or China or from the US or anywhere in the world. For those places, you pay $2,000, $1,500. Take the highest, $2,500. You find that to get it to Kano will take much more than that, even at the current exchange rate. Because of what? We currently are paying about 3 million to 3.5 million to transport one container from Lagos to Kano. And most of the shipping line depend on cost. The container is transported to Lagos at $1,500, $1,200. So that is how many times? So these things are feasible. Government to put attention to the fact that all the things that are in paper have been denied the business community because of corruption. And corruption can only be fought if there is improvement in ease of compliance. If compliance becomes difficult and the vehicles to get a person to comply, just not there, then you find that a person fails to comply, suffers unduly, and the government at the end of it still loses revenue because the corrupt practices take away the money rather than get it into the government coffers. So very importantly, I believe with what is happening in the reform processes, already matters of tax have been covered now because of the automation in the legislation. All the other things must be properly automated, and all the checks and balances must be installed so that cargo owners are protected from the hazards of being exploited and intimidated and money taken out unjustly from them. And also the government will give what is due to the government without leakages, and so distortions will be removed from the system, and the Nigerian economy will be better for it.
All right, Doctor, you talk about issue of tax. It's where I'm actually coming to. There's a new tax law in Nigeria now. As a businessman yourself, you're a big businessman, of course, you're going to pay more tax to the government. Talk to us, how do you receive that, the legislation or the implementation rather, as a businessman?
We had opportunity from NACCIMMA to make our input together with our colleagues from the Manufacturer Association. And we made our input one. Yes, we are actually, that notion that we pay more, I don't know how it was founded, because to me, about payment of tax depends on how you really take it serious. If you employ the experts to help you as a company, you either employ a competent chartered accountant to do the job for you, that you will also pay or remunerate appropriately so that the person is encouraged to do it, or you do what they do you want to repair your Rolex and you take it to a roadside watch repairer, you know what will happen to you. If you are not lucky, somebody will even steal it from there and sell it for nothing. So you have to get, if you are a real business, like Dangote, for instance, Alhaji Aliko Dangote cannot cry about the tax law. Why? Because he has got experts working for him. And who will look at it and see what are his escape routes? Don't forget, tax evasion is illegal, but tax avoidance is fully legal. And therefore, if you have the experts, they will know how to structure the thing and avoid certain tax payments so that you can save your business, and make sure that for its sustainability, you are able to retain enough resources in it to continue and to also through your CSR and through other channels. So I am not afraid I do not have that notion that I may end up paying more tax. But I know in the tax law, there are quite a number of gaps that really are not to our expectation. But I do believe that we have a government, and once the implementation commences in earnest, and we, as for instance, NACCIMMA, will continue to listen to our members, we will catalog what will require attention of Mr. President and the state and the National Assembly. And I assure you, maybe in the first quarter, because unfortunately for companies, the tax is to be levied on a preceding year basis. But on other operational taxes, we will listen to our members and also the community, and then we will catalog what we believe should be forwarded to Mr. President and to the National Assembly and seek their attention to either amend, improve, or remove. We will definitely come up with that. I believe that is what we should do, because having been signed by Mr. President and is a law now, our worry is to just see how we can safely comply. And if in the course of the compliance, the pains that show up themselves will be addressed, we will make sure that we take appropriate steps to get remedies.
Indeed, taking appropriate steps to get remedies. But in your own view, do you think this is the right time to implement tax? Because a lot of Nigerians are complaining that the government is really not doing so much for them in terms of providing basic amenities. Most Nigerians provide their own water, their own security, and some even school fees, like in some, other climes where tax is, a big deal. School, primary to secondary school, are usually free, but it's not the case in Nigeria. Are we putting the cart before the horse?
Regrettably, in Nigeria, we are doing too many things really wrong. We have been submitting ourselves to meet the expectations of largely the developed world. We get experts to talk about this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you get more money. But look at the implications. For instance, the VAT. All the other issues that are in the legislation that will raise costs are going to, in the same vein, increase inflation. And they are in the same vein going to reduce the number of comfortable families. If there were 40% comfortable families, with the new legislation, they may go down to maybe 25 or even less. And as we have always mentioned, the more hungry people that you have, the more angry people that you have, the more mad people that you have, the more people you have for recruitment into hostile territories, banditry, and so many other evils. So what has happened to us with these changes that keep coming, from the time that even the Naira, the currency was changed, to the time that we say, let us go cashless in the economy, the time that we say, let us do this, let us do that, we have been playing actually to the gallery, playing to satisfy some expectations that do not look at Nigeria. Two things. Let me tell you the economy of Malaysia, for instance. Malaysia has appreciated one fact. Their economies come in together, and they appreciate that there is need to key into the global economy, because every country is a player in the global economy, but it must respect its own peculiarities. So they say in their, they say, let us think global and act local. Recognize the peculiarities in Nigeria, starting from Argungu to Blonkotu, from Yanegwa, the extreme place in the Niger Delta, to the extreme place in the west. There are varying peculiarities. Recognize them in whatever you are bringing to the table. Like now, you open, how many millions Nigerians do we have? How many do have access to internet? How many are literate? How many are blah, blah, blah? Whatever you are going to bring in, recognize the entire country and adopt a policy that will be positive on students generally. So I believe where we are today is a situation that things have been introduced that are causing more harm in some respects than good. They are appearing good. I was in the capital market. I was a pioneer member of Investment and Securities Tribunal. And while we were there, we had tour in 2002. We were in many European countries. What did I find out there? I found out that the Nigerian capital market became more sophisticated than most European capital markets. By year 2002, when I was sworn in as a member of the Investment and Securities Tribunal, we were in London, we were in so many European and the Schengen zone. So we saw that we are so ahead of them. Why? What we were working on, I was promoting a capital trade point. What was it for? It was to promote a mini capital market in Kano. And I was working, before I became president of the chamber and subsequently commissioner for commerce in the state, I was working aggressively to ensure that in Kano state, these young men that we are mentoring to become so productive, we would have had a capital trade point, a mini exchange for Kano, where Kano people will be trading in the stocks, like in my company, the Dala dry port. People can buy shares and benefiting from it, those Zopo process, ginger process. People can buy stock in there. We need $1 billion naira. We don't need to go to the bank. Those people who are saving their money will bring and key in. We also were discussing the issue, of so many options that are there. But Nigeria, a few of us that have, let me say the diasporans, they just come in and they get a position in office. And before you know it, they have imported to us what is so sophisticated and useless to us. And before you know it, the government of the day, hearing their eloquence in grammar, and they will just capture it, and then they will now put it in Nigeria. I believe these are fundamental issues that we must appreciate. Things on the physical, look at Alhaji Aliko Dangote. He has come in, he has established a refinery, the largest in Africa, and growing to be the largest in the world. This is a thing on the ground. If the capital market, now what we are encouraging and looking forward to is the day that Dangote refinery will be floated, and we'll all rush and put our little money into that in order to do too many things, to secure it so that it does not borrow. Because if that refinery is on loan, you can best imagine what will happen to him if there is any other madness and something happens and he's not able to produce. And then because the exchange rate, the interest that will be levied by the banks will not stop if there is any challenge in the country or in production. So on the whole, we are on course, but we need to continue to look at fundamental issues of our peculiarities so that we do not just jump into and then we sit now. Like now, let me talk to you on just a brief thing on that affects me. Some of this.
Alaji, in 30 seconds, we are almost out of time.
Okay, then I will leave the other issue and just say that it is we all as Nigerians have responsibilities to contribute. Government the day to day, government of His Excellency Renewed Hope Agenda President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR requires our input. So let people really evaluate things honestly, carefully, and diligently, and submit a memorandum to Mr. President, to the Assembly, be guiding them. I believe just attacking government in the pages of paper it does not give anybody. We have the National Assembly supporting from the Senate to the representatives, and we all have responsibility to give contributions, even to persons like Alhaji Dangote that have become really key players in our economy, to guide how we can all work together and help build a more united and prosperous nation for our continued overall.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmad Rabiu, National Vice President of NACCIMMA, and of course the MD of Dala Ilan Dry Port, speaking to us all the way from Kano. I must thank you for your time and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Compliments, as I said earlier. Happy New Year and Merry Xmas in arrears. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And with that, the wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf.